We designed all the sounds for the upcoming game Tenchi's Tale, and we were given this multi-layered character from the game. Time travels through this enemy throughout fighting it, creating 3 stages of the fight and 3 forms of the character. There are so many angles of approach when designing the sound of a character like this. There's this anatomical element to it, where you can imagine the muscles and tendons of the creature changing over its 3 forms, especially in parts like its throat, which could influence how its cry changes throughout its transformation. There's a biological element to it, where you can ask yourself what species or creature in our world could be most related to this, and you can find out how that species makes noise or what it sounds like. But sometimes that might not end up being the best way to start, because once you look at things like the aesthetic of the game and the world this character lives in, how rooted is it in our reality to begin with? In a game like Tenchi's Tale, the game isn't asking for sounds that are hyper-realistic. There are these concepts that are rooted in reality, but with opportunity to incorporate these synthetic elements that create sounds that make sense in its world. Our approach to sound design for this became about discovering the sound of the creature's final form, where it's the most physically developed, and then employing a subtractive strategy, working backwards from that as the anatomy of the character is stripped down until it's just bones. We were originally supplied with the concept art from Dan Buxa, the artist who designed the character, and being given such a strong source to work with really made the process more informed and fun. Eventually we got a look at the character from the game's pixel artist, Ivan Cohen, showing exactly how it would look in the game, which helped clarify a number of questions we had. We started by diving into our collection of hardware synths, software instruments, our effect pedal collection, and our sample libraries of various sounds we've been collecting. We always kind of cycle through the things we think might work, and if those don't work out, we just start trying everything we can get our hands on until we either continue to get closer to something that works, or just keep learning what not to do. Here we're pretty deep in the process, where we have the concept art as a reference, our DAW up on screen, and a chain of instruments. The Korg Mini-Log, a Toria Mini-Brute, and 3 pedals from Earthquaker devices that further shape the sounds coming from the synths. First in the pedal chain is Tremolo, which reflects how the sound exits the creature's throat, which one can imagine is still missing some key muscles or tendons. So this turns the raw sounds coming from the synths from this to this. Then there's Vibrato, which gives the sound a bit of a quirk, turning our raw synth sound from this to this. And finally, a little bit of transparent overdrive to give it enough grit to make the sound a little more intimidating. Once the base of the sound for the creature was developed, we layered it with some samples and additional synths, ending up with what became its 3rd form's final sound in the game.